Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Adam Unpacked. Thanks for following along. Glad to have you here. Hopefully you've been enjoying the series of the 93 rebuild. It's kind of cool just going through the process of doing some renovations on this 1993 home and bringing it back to life in the 21st century. I think that's pretty sweet. We are going to start off the video today actually downstairs on the main level where you walk in. And I'll show you what I'm working on, and then we will continue up into the kitchen area and work our way back into the master, and I'll show you what we've been up to here these last couple weeks. Things have slowed down a little bit, but this next week coming up here will be a big push. As I've got painters coming in, we will then start to lay down the floor, hopefully fingers crossed in the kitchen. And I'm thinking Wednesday, Thursday next week, we might even have countertops being dropped in. So stay tuned for more. We'll see what happens. In the interim, let's talk about something I'm working on down here today. I'll show you what I mean. So this is the main entryway from the home. And then you guys will remember the staircase here. We did this beautiful wainscoting, and this takes you upstairs into the kitchen living room. One of the things that we had to figure out and work on was we had these porcelain bolster pipes, and they were just rough. We had to remove them for two reasons. One, you can't really paint these and make them look good anymore. They're all scarred up and just brittle. And two, this, if you guys remember, was yellow and faded, had old stain on it. So we had to remove these old bolsters so we could actually get in here and sand, strip all the stain and restain. It just made life a lot easier. But one of the things I never wanted to do was remove this railing because it's tied into the wall up there. And then down here, I'm not sure. It's either glued or it has dowels or something, but there was just no easy way of removing this railing without destroying something. You'd pretty much have to come in here with a Sawzall blade and cut the cap off to remove the actual handrail. So that got us thinking, well, what are we going to do here? So I had a guy, a local metal smith, build me some new vertical bolsters, and I was hoping that we could just slide them into the old holes here. These are straight vertical holes, and then up to that angular hole up here. Unfortunately, that didn't work. He dropped off the piping, but they didn't account for the thickness of the steel, so they just would not fit in the old hole, which then led me to have to make a decision on either we drill out the holes, right? Either we drill out these holes to accommodate the larger diameter pipe. This hole's not a huge issue, but these ones up here are going to be a bit of a challenge because they're on an angle and there's just not a lot of material. There's really just no room for error. So unfortunately, the original plan wasn't going to work. So we had to figure out a plan B. So after a lot of thoughts and snooping around on the internet, I finally found a solution, and I'll show you what I'm doing now. I ordered my own bolsters, actually on Amazon, if you can believe it. They actually had the vertical piping because I wanted round pipe. I didn't want square. But what I had to figure out was that I needed a flat shoe base, and then I needed a swivel head at the top because we're working on an angle, right? So I'll show you what I ended up buying. So here I got the Deco Rex hardware here, and here we have bolster screw down flat shoes, okay? And then we also have the bolster screw down swivel head, okay? So the flat shoe essentially is just a one-piece design that sits here on the hole, okay? And the pipe runs vertically up to this angular hole. Up here, we had the issue of, well, how do we accommodate that angle, right? So this is where we use the angular shoe, okay? So this is the bolster with the swivel shoe adapter on there. So this is how we're going to mount these things all the way up. So long story short, again, a relatively cheap solution to what could have been a large problem, right? I mean, obviously, as soon as you walk into the home, this is the main entryway, and your eyesight takes you right to the beautiful handrail and possibly the bolster. So we wanted to maintain it. We wanted to make sure it was, classy and it looked good, but at the same time, I didn't want to have to rip everything apart. That creates a lot more headache, in my opinion, than what it's worth. So that's what I've been working on. I've got the lower bolsters done. I'll show you. This is what they look like. You have a flat shoe at the bottom, and then you run the vertical rod up to the top, and then here you will have a pivoting head. So overall, I actually think it looks really well. Took a bit of time to figure this all out, but I'm going to continue this trend all the way up the stairs. So that's pretty exciting. So if you run into this issue and you guys are working on a similar project, you know what? It does pay just to do some research online, snoop around, and try to find your own solution. And to be honest with you, I saved a lot of money. So I'm going to run these new bolsters all the way up. I'll remove the last piece of porcelain pipe here. And the beautiful thing is, not once did I have to remove the actual handrail itself, because here You can see it's tied right into the wall. So I didn't want to have to come in here and slice everything and figure out how to dowel it and put it back together. But yeah, so that's that project. My Google Nest thermostats are looking beautiful this time of year. You can see we've actually put a fall background on there. So one of the cool things with Google is that you can actually change the background. So throughout the year, they offer different backgrounds depending on the season. So that's kind of cool. The only issue I ran into was the one downstairs. I only had the old thermostat only had 2 wires. I didn't have a C wire, so that is on a separate video. So that's kind of cool. Got that all upgraded. But yeah, for the rest, they're working excellent. Up here in the kitchen, not much has changed. We finally did punch a gas line out to the barbecue. So that is done here. You can see finally connected and pushed out the wall. So that's awesome. As I mentioned earlier, I'm hoping to actually have granite countertops, or quartz, I should say, dropped here midweek. So fingers crossed that that happens. But yeah, we're doing a big quartz countertop here and then the quartz top over here as well. Farmhouse sink, we got that replaced. The original one that they sent from Deer Valley unfortunately had a crack down here on the right-hand side. So we needed a replacement. They got this brand new one sent to me within the week. So I'm pretty impressed with that. Again, none of the plumbing underneath has been done yet. We are waiting for the quartz countertops to be dropped, and then we will put in our taps and plumb the sink in. So that's cool. This is just about ready to go in here. Not much has really changed here, other than the fact that starting Monday, we will start to paint these walls and the ceiling, because I want to get this all done, at least the kitchen side done, prior to dropping the tile. This is the final floor that we're doing. This is the really nice kind of beige tile we're putting in here. So I want to get the painting done prior to that, just so that if there is any paint that drops from the ceiling, it can drop on the plywood. Easier to clean up. I don't want it on the tile. And then we will be replacing some of these lights as well, getting that all done. But yeah, this is progressing somewhat slow, but I think this week we're going to see that really start to come together. So that's pretty exciting. We've got our base in here for our charger station. Not much has changed here. We have to finish the floor before we put the fridge in and connect that to water. And then I have another cabinet that will be going on top here as well, just for some extra storage. So that's pretty sweet. Let's go over to the half bath here. This is starting to look really good. You can see our hexagon tile here. We kind of went with a bit of a Portuguese style tile, but it's a hexagon shape, and you can see it's kind of got that nice wore out look to it. So super cool. This has been grouted, just needs to be siliconed. So that's starting to look really sharp. And then, yeah, a couple more days on that. And then we will put the vanity in place in the corner, which is this green vanity here. That can be dropped in. Plumbing can be connected. We will then replace the light up here as well. And as you guys remember, this was actually originally a textured wall. So I've actually floated this wall now a couple times. And it took like 4 skim coats. But finally, you can see we have a nice smooth wall here. So that's cool. Prior to me coming in here, it looked like the ceiling and had that popcorn look to it, which I just never liked, and now it's essentially ready for paint. So that's one other thing we have to do. Here we'll tile up to the laundry area. We're not going to tile in here because this floor is still good, nothing wrong with it. And it's like a glue down laminate floor. So I'm just going to leave that alone because we'll have doors here. One PSA for you guys, if you are on septic, is I highly recommend these filtrol systems. They're awesome. What it is a microplastic filter for your washer. So when you're on septic, your clothes washer actually releases a lot of microplastics into your septic field, and it doesn't float and it doesn't sink. It kind of stays suspended in the center and will actually move over to your secondary tank and cause quite a bit of damage. I didn't realize. Did a lot of research on the internet and talked to some guys in the septic industry, and they said like that's the number one cause for septic failure is actually having microplastics inside your field. So it goes through your tank, the different stages, and actually gets out to your septic field through the piping, and it'll start clogging up your pipes so the water can't escape. And this is not a cheap setup. It's like a $300 kit, and there's only basically one decent manufacturer out there, Filtrol. So they can pretty much charge whatever they want because there's no competition. But at the end of the day, $300 is certainly a lot less than replacing your septic field for 25 to 30K. So yeah, all it is just basically connects to your washer, and then your washer pipe, the exit pipe, that would normally go right down the drain, runs through this filter system, and then there's a reusable membrane in here. So every couple months you can split this apart and then actually wash out the membrane, which is super cool. So it's reusable. You buy the kit once and clean it out periodically, and should last a good long time. Relatively easy kit to mount. But yeah, the water comes in here. and the water can leave. And then your particulate, as you can see, we're actually collecting quite a bit here at the bottom of the filter. That stays behind and saves your septic system. So I think it's a relatively cheap investment for a long-term gain. So that's cool. Yeah, these new Samsung washer dryers have been working really well. And so that's awesome. Steam function, which I've used a little bit. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, let's go finish off over here in the kids' bathroom and the master. So here we've got some nice tile laid down. That's pretty cool. We've finally got this vanity in and the sink siliconed and plumbed with the Kohler taps. Really nice, soft close taps. They work really well. But yeah, this is nice to actually get these up and running. The floor is now done, just waiting on putting some of the Moen faucets and stuff in place. The little sconce is done, so that's pretty cool. And then yeah, we'll head over to the master and see what's changed in there in the last couple weeks. Closet's been painted now, so that's all ready for the closet inserts to be put in place. But beautiful color in here. Same color as we have on this wall in the master, so that's kind of cool. Everybody's seen the floor. Not much has changed there. Again, here, same thing. The sink has now been installed, silicone plumbed in. That's awesome. We will be putting some backsplash tile here as well. The same tile that I have in the shower. We will continue over here and do some backsplash. So that's awesome. The only thing left to do in here again is, yeah, silicone everything on the wall, put in the Moen faucets, and then a couple pot lights in the ceiling, an extra fan. We have to do that yet to get rid of this little dangly bulb. And then this is kind of cool as well. I finally got my bidet installed here in the master bathroom. So this thing is awesome. And the reason I wanted a bidet was I do believe in bidets. I like them. But on top of that, there was already a plug there to the right of the toilet. So you can just plug and play, which is pretty sweet. And they've come down in price quite a bit. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, this thing is awesome. Got a heated seat, all the functions you can imagine out of a bidet, air dryer, all that jazz. And yeah, it's pretty deadly. I would highly recommend. But there we go. That is the latest update on the 93 build. So things are progressing quite nicely. And like I said, this coming week, hopefully we're going to start painting. Monday, we will finish up some tile work, number 2. And hopefully we will get the quartz countertops dropped in place. Super exciting. Thanks for following and stay tuned for the next video. Cheers.